You're eating clean, you're moving your body, maybe you're even cutting carbs, but the weight just isn't budging and you're in menopause. And it's not because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because there are sneaky mistakes that no one ever talks about that make fat loss feel impossible in menopause. Until now. Hello, gorgeous girl. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Tracy. I'm 50 years old and I have been in menopause for almost 3 years now. And let me tell you, ladies, I know how frustrating it can feel to feel like your body has kind of changed overnight, or all of the things that used to work just magically for you when you were in your 20s and 30s suddenly are just not working. And if you're in perimenopause right now, you also should be listening up because this applies to you too. Now, this is one that most women actually don't think of enough, and that is chronically under-eating can make fat loss nearly impossible, and especially if you're under-eating protein. This was a huge thing that I used to do. Remember in the 90s, where it was like fat-free everything. So what were we eating? Nothing but carbs. I hardly ever ate protein. No wonder I was struggling with my body. And this is when I was dancing professionally. If we're cutting calories too low, it can slow down your metabolism, it makes you lose muscle, and it can even increase your cravings. All of that is just a recipe for it feeling ridiculously impossible for you to lose fat. Now, this is something that I usually only give to the girlies that are in my weight loss course, but I'm feeling generous today, so I'm gonna give it to you. So take notes. There is an easy plate formula for you to kind of always eyeball things without tracking things like a crazy person, to make sure that you're getting the right nutrients to support fat loss. So you wanna make sure that you have about a fist size of protein, right? I sometimes will eat a little bit more. Obviously, it depends on your appetite, but you at least want a good fist-sized portion of your protein. So the other half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables. Now, it does not have to be just sad salad, although I am a salad lover here. I love salads, but it can also be sauteed vegetables, steamed vegetables, whatever you want. You just want to stay away from the starchy vegetables. And that remaining quarter of your plate should be either smart carbohydrates or healthy fats. I'm not talking about French fries here, girlies, although we do love a French fry from time to time, but you want to have a smart carb. Maybe it's a sweet potato or even a baked potato. Maybe it's even some rice. That's totally fine with some healthy fat. This is going to make hitting your protein goals so much easier, but it's also going to make you more satisfied so you don't feel like you're starving yourself or you're on the dreaded diet. Ugh. Now, this is a timely one, in my opinion, most people don't talk about enough, and that is relying too heavily on GLP-1 medications. Now, I've done a whole video all about GLP-1 medications. I am not against them. I know that they have helped probably hundreds of thousands of people at this point. That's not what I'm talking about here. Here is the deal. If you are relying only on the injection and you are not actually habit changing, you are setting yourself up to fail. While these can be really great tools to help you lose weight, regulate your blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and so much more, they're not going to change your habits. And there's been new research that shows that if you're inconsistent with these GLP-1 medications, which quite honestly for most people are very, very expensive, then their effectiveness actually declines. So what you have to do, whether you're a GLP-1 girly or not, is create new habits. That's exactly what I talk about all the time with my girls in my weight loss course. It's really, really important that you set yourself up with a plan that works for your life and for your lifestyle so that you never feel like you're restricting or on a diet, but you're just making different choices and you're informed enough to know what works for your body and for your life and your lifestyle. Oh, and by the way, if you want information about my weight loss course, I will leave it linked down below in the description box for you to check it out. A huge mistake that people don't think is important enough is neglecting hydration as a fat loss tool. Most women think, oh, I'm drinking enough water, but they're walking around dehydrated. And this is especially important during menopause. You can't focus, your skin looks dull, you wonder why you have no energy, and you're craving carbs all day long. All of those are signs that you might be dehydrated. But here's the deal. Hydration isn't just about drinking enough water. It's making sure that you're really getting enough of the minerals, and those minerals are so important to keep you hydrated at a cellular level. So what I'm saying, girls, is yeah, you can be chugging water all day and still be dehydrated. Now, I've talked about this before, but one thing that I'm obsessed with is Pique's deep hydration protocol. Because if you're anything like me, when I find something that I love and it works, I keep it in the rotation. This is not your average sugar-loaded electrolyte blend that's really kind of Kool-Aid masking as an electrolyte. Oh, no way, honey. This is the luxury Chanel version of hydration. It's premium, it's elegant, and it delivers results that you can feel. It's a two-part system, the BT Fountain Beauty Electrolyte that I take in the morning for skin glow, hydration, and all-day energy, and then the RE Fountain Calming Electrolyte at night. That helps me unwind, recover, and get deep restorative sleep. They use triple Biomax magnesium. So if you've ever taken a magnesium supplement and you felt literally nothing, now you're gonna understand the difference. This helps you wake up with clearer focus, calmer nerves, and that I just slept like a baby feeling. Even my husband is hooked on this. And the best part is, it's the cleanest electrolytes on the market. No sugar, no artificial flavors, no fillers, no junk. Just real ingredients, and it tastes spa level good. I see the difference and I feel the difference. I feel more focused, I feel calmer, I feel relaxed in the evening, my skin is more glowy, and all of you have noticed. So if you wanna check out Pique, Pique is giving my community a 20% discount for life. Yeah, you heard me right, plus a free gift just because we love Pique so much. So I'll link it all down below in the description box so you can check it out. I'm telling you, this is like the premium blend of electrolytes that honestly we all need. Now, talking about hydration, if fat loss is your goal, do not neglect liquid calories. No, I'm not talking about your Pique deep hydration. I'm talking about every single coffee you have, every matcha you have, every smoothie you have, or if you are into fancy coffee drinks or alcohol, all of that starts adding up. So yes, I enjoy a matcha latte. I love having smoothies, but you have to really factor them into your overall picture. When I have my matcha, I think of it more of like a snack. So what I like to do is I up my protein by putting in some collagen into my matcha. It also froths it up really nicely, just side note. But then that is more of like a snack, and not only does it curb my appetite, but I've also even upped my protein grams. But all of those nut milks, if you're like an almond milk girly like me, we do unsweetened obviously, it really does add up. So you just wanna make sure that you're tracking that in your total. I don't track calories, I don't track macros, but I do kind of like having that overall vision of how much I'm consuming in a day. And a lot of times we underestimate things, especially if it's in liquid form. Now, I am 50 years old, and in the 80s, we were all cardio queens. We didn't even call it cardio, we called it aerobics. But now we know better, and we know that muscle is metabolically expensive. Muscle is basically your calorie burning machine. And I don't have to tell you that over the age of 40, our muscle mass starts to decline. So every year that goes by, you're losing a little bit. And that's another frustrating thing about aging is that, every year you have to work just a little bit harder to stay strong. So you've got to incorporate strength and resistance training. Now I talk about this all the time, and this is something that we make it super easy inside my fitness membership, Total Body Transformation. Every single workout is really designed to keep you strong, to maintain your muscle mass. And it's a program really geared for women like you and me that are over the age of 40. So if you want to check that out too, I'll leave that down below in the description box. But here's one thing that I want you to know, and please open your ears. I'm not in a gym clanging super heavy weights. No, my friends. So all I do for my fitness is I do workouts that we have inside of TBT. And like I said, most of them are a combination of some smart cardio with strength and resistance training. 2 times a week, I do Pilates on a reformer. That's resistance training. I have asked several doctors about this. What are your thoughts on Pilates reformer? They're like, Absolutely, that is resistance training because those springs are heavy. So I'm not talking about Pilates on a mat. I'm talking about actually using that extra resistance. It really works. It is the fountain of youth. So I do that 2 times a week along with my TBT. And then in between, I walk with my weighted vest. My vest is 8 pounds. And then sometimes I'll get a little spicy and I'll add my wrist weights, which add an additional 2 pounds on it. So that's what we really need to start focusing on more. I focus more on my strength and my resistance training at this point in my life than I do on making sure that I'm like, jumping all over the place. And quite honestly, jumping around just doesn't feel as good as it used to. But my point is we've got to maintain our muscle mass. So just by existing, you're burning more calories, you're keeping your metabolism high, and you're gonna just look and feel leaner. Now here's one that I don't hear people really ever talk about, and that is ignoring your muscle protein synthesis timing. If I lost you, don't worry, I'm gonna explain it all to you. So in menopause, we experience what's known as anabolic resistance. And so what that basically means is our bodies are less efficient at building and using the protein that we might even be consuming. Take that in, my friends. How frustrating is that? So this is why it's so important to make sure that you're doing your resistance training, but also that you are kind of loading your protein first so that we are not losing the muscle mass. So I'm gonna tell you how to make this really easy, and I have a whole video all about this. You wanna aim for about 25 to 30 grams of protein each meal. If you're eating 3 meals a day, you're gonna be around 100 grams of protein, which is awesome. And I gotta tell you, it's really not that difficult. I'm not gonna get into like the specifics here, go check out that video next, but I really break it down for you so that you're like, wow, I didn't even realize that. It's so much easier than you think. Now, if you are plant-based or vegan, is it a little bit more challenging and do you need to pay a little bit more attention? I'm not gonna lie to you, yes, but there are little hacks that you can do. And I explain all of that in that video. So you wanna have your meals spaced out about 4 hours apart so that you're kind of dividing up that protein throughout the day. And what that does is it doesn't let muscle breakdown win the race. The more we are feeding our muscles and we're actually absorbing that protein, the stronger and leaner you will be, even if you're in menopause. Now this is one that I feel so deeply for my students and my clients. It's they will be focused, they will be on a mission all week, and then the weekend comes and it all goes out the window because they're like, it's the weekend, how could I say no to a pizza party or ice cream with my kid? And listen, don't get me wrong, I'm a mom, I get it, there's nothing quite like seeing the joy on your kid's face when you're sharing an ice cream together. But here's the deal. If you have a goal of fat loss, you know that ice cream is not gonna help you. So what I like to do is make my daughter feel special, or if you don't have children, let's just say maybe your challenge is when you're going out to dinner with friends, not, diving into the bread basket or eating carbs that you know are not really gonna support your goals, right? So what I always tell people is it's not about the actual item, it's more about the company. So like in my case, I was saying with my daughter, it's about spending time with her, looking into her eyes, laughing with her, enjoying those special moments so she has those good memories. She's not gonna care if I eat the ice cream or not, right? And if we're with our friends, it's the same thing, being present with our friends, phone down, really loving and creating those beautiful memories together. So please, if fat loss is your goal, don't just like go ham on the weekends. Now, I am Italian American. I am not about restriction at all. But when I know that I've got a goal, I always am weighing my options. It's not really about one little choice. Like you might say like fat loss is my goal, but you know what? This is the best ice cream in town and I'm gonna have a small scoop of it, and that's that. No guilt, no feeling bad about it, no shame. However, that's one choice, right? So you just know in that overall picture of your health and your wellness and your nutrition, that's a little blip, but it's not a massive misstep. Now, if after that ice cream, then you go and have like 5 martinis and like eat a whole pizza, that's something different. So you've got to just kind of weigh things for yourself. Life is for living, and I believe food can be a source of pleasure, but what's the most pleasurable is reaching your goals and spending time with your loved ones. Now, speaking of dinners out with friends, one thing that I likely do not need to tell you, but it always bears a reminder, is you cannot ignore alcohol's effects on your body, especially if you're in menopause. I have to tell you, the way I could enjoy a cocktail and the way I loved a big, full, deep body red wine, even when I was 40 years old, now at 50, if I have one big glass of red wine, I know I'm not gonna sleep, I'm gonna wake up sweating, and I'm going to feel like absolute crap the next day. Alcohol is poison, we all know it. I'm really trying to minimize my alcohol consumption, but if you are gonna drink alcohol, if fat loss is your goal, you wanna be making sure that you're drinking dry wines. If you have a sip of wine and it tastes like a sugar bomb, guess what? It likely is. And just that natural sugar, it's not great for you. Also, clear spirits. I'm talking about like a vodka or gin, and don't have any of those sugary mixers, right? Just have club soda with it. I also do suggest that you do water it down with club soda because number one, at least you're getting some hydration while you're dehydrating, but also it kind of just lets you enjoy the drink a little bit longer. I love a dirty martini. Don't get me wrong, I sure do. And I know that like when we're talking about alcohol, it's not the worst choice when it comes to sugar and all of those things. However, it does pack a wallop. So if I have a martini, it's like martini, because I know if I even have 1.5, I feel it the next day. But more importantly, when it comes to fat loss, it is gonna slow down your fat burning. Another thing we just don't talk about enough is if you're constantly in low grade stress, that's also gonna make fat loss nearly impossible for you. Now, it is 2025 and we all live very busy lives. And I'm sure at this stage of your life is extremely full. I mean, if you had told me 10 years ago what my life would look and feel like, I wouldn't have believed you, right? Here's the deal though, you have to make it a non-negotiable to really slow down your nervous system, to really nurture yourself so that you're not constantly feeling like you're getting squeezed, right? I actually am a meditation failure. Like I always try and start and stop, and I just started using the Headspace meditation app, and I have to say I really love it because I feel like it's meditation for a real world where you can actually just do like 1 minute, 3-minute meditation. It's just really helped me kind of try to find those breaks in the day. Now, maybe for you, meditation isn't your thing. Maybe it's just taking 3 deep breaths, or even easier, look up. We spend so much time looking at screens, straight ahead, focusing on the problems. You know, the other day I was driving and I was quite honestly like pissed off that I was driving, and I looked up at the sky, and the sky had these like big, gorgeous, puffy clouds, and I was like, that's exactly what I needed to see. It just helps us, you know, to really just relax our nervous system. So if you have a fat loss goal, make it a priority to chill out. And the final mistake that so many people make, and this is not your fault, but so many people fall prey to what I like to call sexy marketing of food, or the greenwashing of food, meaning even if you go to markets like Whole Foods or like an Erewhon, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's there, it's going to help support your fat loss goals. Also, I'd like to just call this out too, at least in Miami, and I know in New York for sure too, there's a lot of these like kind of healthier food chains, sort of like grab and go. Some of them have so much sugar in their items. It's like, you might as well get a McDonald's, like honestly. So don't fall prey to the sexy marketing. You wanna always make best choices. And this is what I actually am even teaching my now 5-year-old daughter. I'm like, she wants Cheetos, she loves Cheetos. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy you Cheetos, but I found from the brand Lesser Evil, yes, it's still corn, and yes, obviously this is for her, it's a snack, but at least it's made with avocado oil. So I explained to her, it's a better choice than a Cheeto, right? And we can do the same, right? So instead of having like some random gluten-free crackers that might have all kinds of sugar and fillers in them, maybe substitute something with more simple ingredients like Simple Mills almond crackers. You know, if you're gonna have yogurt, don't have regular yogurt, have Greek yogurt that has no sugar added and no fillers and junk. Read your labels and just be that food detective. Now, if you guys want me to do a whole video about like healthy swaps, let me know in the comments because I would totally be happy to do that for you. So that's what I've got for you today. Fat loss is not impossible in menopause. We just have to make some little tweaks and changes, and then, you know, we can be looking and feeling our best and feeling healthy and being strong and really showing up as the best version of ourselves at any age and any stage. So if you want to keep hanging with me here on YouTube, make sure to check out this video next. I'll see you there.